I just get so like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's what I do as well. Like every time I'm like a deep breath. Oh God, it is doing this thing again. I've got a new laptop and there's something not right about the camera. But anyway, I can see you and that's more important than anything else.
Good.
So we will crack on. I've just noticed, is that a real guitar behind you?
It is indeed.
What's that doing? Oh my God, do you play it?
I don't. We bought it for my son who plays the piano. He's never quite taken to it. So my daughter, my youngest, has started strumming away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm hoping. Yes.
Oh,
But it
so
reminds me, do you know, often it reminds me about sound and the fact that it's a guitar. My son plays the piano, my daughter plays the violin, my husband plays the sax, and I try and sing. All different sounds, yes, doesn't matter. Beautiful sounds when they come together. You don't have to be a guitar. You don't have to be a
yeah.
You can bring your own sound, and that's enough.
Oh, you started already with your wisdom, sharing it. It's so true, though. I think I can get a bit hung up with that because I can't play anything. I've got piano here behind me.
Yes.
I bought that as a panic purchase as we were going into lockdown in 2020. I mean, who buys a piano?
Like,
it went on a notice board, you know, one of these sort of local notice boards, like someone wanted rid of it. And I was just thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lockdown. I've got this little 6-year-old. I don't want her on the iPad. Okay, piano. And it was like quite, you know, it was quite a good deal.
Sure, we like a good deal.
What on earth? Like my dad went to pick it up and he was like, what do you need this? I was like, yes.
Has she played? Has she started to? Good.
Yes. So this is it. I'm like, oh, because I can't play anything. So I'm like, yeah, please, like, have the joy of, as you say, joy of music is incredible, isn't it? It's such a talent.
It is.
Oh, anyway, rambling. Right, maybe we should get on.
Okay, let's do
it. Today, hello, Helen. Helen just bought a ukulele.
Hey.
Can you play it, Helen? You just bought it like me. No, exactly. Yeah. God, I don't know what to do with it.
She will be learning, though, I'm sure, Helen. I'm sure you will be learning.
Yeah, she probably will be. Cool. Right, rethink speaking today. So when I was putting together this kind of rethink thing, and I shared this with you, I was like, oh, there's a number of things I just want to kind of disrupt ourselves, you know, when we're thinking about stuff. And speaking, it lodged in my head when we had this podcast chat. Something you said was, you know, people think speaking is about like confidence and being bold and having these beautiful things to say. Sometimes it's just a question. And that sentence just stuck in my head because I was like, it's so true. So this is what I want to explore today, because you do such good work in this space with people to help them to feel confident and all this stuff, but in a different way. So can't wait to crack on. But before we do, a little bit about you first, and then we will dig into the speaking rethink.
Super. Delighted to be with you. Really pleased that you asked me to come back. I loved our last conversation. So a little bit about me. I often go, where should I start from? When I was born, or in Nigeria, when I came over here. Anyway, very short story. I used to live in Nigeria. I was born there. I came over when I was 17 to study law and practiced as a lawyer for about 15 years. Got stuck and bored, changed direction after some wandering in the wilderness. And so I now champion women to speak up and to really value their voices and bringing their stories into the world, and to really shift. I thought of that phrase about shifting from being a spectator to being a speaker, because I've witnessed so many, and myself as well, being in spaces where it's just been muted. Yeah. I'm like, Ronke, come on, unmute yourself. Shift from being just spectating to actually putting your voice in the room. And so that's what I do now, and I love it. I'm so grateful that I get to call this work.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. And actually, I'll share the link of our podcast chat as well, because you do tell your story of career change and
Yes.
from lawyer and everything that you kind of, your thought process. So that's a story in itself. So I'll remember to share the podcast in that link as well. I love that. Take yourself off mute, because actually maybe we could start there as our little exploration.
Sure.
Because I guess at the moment, a lot of our conversations, a lot of our opportunities to speak up are online. And is it harder now? Is it a different kind of dynamic? What's going on with the shift from that kind of face-to-face being in a room to online? Are you seeing a difference?
Goodness, honestly, I remember when it all first kicked off. All I knew was face-to-face, right? I think for most people, there were some people who were already in the online space, but
yeah,
I remember thinking, it's over. It's all over. How on earth am I going to move this thing forward? And it was actually a potential client who said to me, can't we do it online? Can't we just, and I was like, no, let's just wait for this thing to finish, this thing, right? The pandemic, which nobody knew was a pandemic at the time. And so she, in a sense, gave me permission to try something different and to brave this online space. And I've noticed, I mean, from just the groups and the communities that I'm a part of, I think it's potentially easier to try and hide on screen, because you can literally mute yourself. You can turn your camera off. You can be there, but not really be there. And just really be that spectator. If that, I mean, you could have your camera off and be gardening, or, lots of people could be doing all sorts of different things. So I think it's taking more confidence or more intention, actually, really, which is obviously something we'll touch on as we have this conversation. But it's more of having that intention to put your voice in the room, because you know that your voice matters and that you bring something of value to the conversations that you're a part of. But it's choosing to believe that and giving ourselves permission to believe that. And that's the hard bit.
Well, yeah, because how easy is it just to turn it all off and just crack on with something else? But really, you've had something that you could have contributed to, you could have added value, and as you say, it's that intention. I love that word, setting off with the intention that when I join an event, when I join something, what am I wanting to do? Am I wanting to just listen or form opinions or speak? Love it.
Yeah, and even on that point, really quick story. When the lockdown first started, I was attending events. There was a guy on LinkedIn who I was really inspired by his work. He was organizing some events. And so I showed up. I just showed up, and I showed up as me, which is smiley and asking questions or contributing. And my intention was to be really present. Do you know, he reached out to me and said to me, Ronke, you've really stood out. You've stood out from all of these events I've been having. I would love for you to come and do some work with me. And I was like, absolutely delighted. But I share that to say just that opportunity that you could miss out on because you're not there. You're there, but not there. And I feel really grateful that I keep choosing, not all the time, but, when I'm in that space in that realm, that space in my mind, I can intend. It's intending to show up as me, and it's showing up as me, and we can all do that.
Oh, so I like this. I like where this is going. Can we dig deeper into this showing up? Because I think that's a terrifying concept for some people. We've been doing a program at the moment. You've lost your job and you need to get a new job, or you want to do something different, and how do you do it? And one of the things we talk about, show up, tell people, don't just kind of hope that something's going to happen or just, go behind the scenes, show up, tell people what you want, be brave. And people are literally like, oh my God, no, absolutely not. Like they wouldn't, they might go on the webinar, but they wouldn't show up as you described. But can we dig into like the terrifying concept of showing up?
Yeah, and it is a terrifying concept. Let's just nail that, right? It is. And it is because we are all so afraid of judgment. That's what we're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of being different. We're afraid of getting it wrong.
Oh God, that's it. Getting it wrong. How embarrassing, you know? Yeah.
And it's embarrassing, but then we move on. And I've got to tell myself these things. I'm like, okay, it's not the end of the world. And so this whole idea of showing up, a lot of work that I've been focusing on recently has been around this premise that we need confidence, right? We need confidence to show up. But how about if you don't have the confidence? Then where do you even begin to start from? It's like, speak up, be confident. I don't have it, so I can't move forward.
Yeah, that's it. And you shut it down.
That's right. End of story, right? Over.
Yeah.
And what I realized, and it's a long story, and it's one that, you know, I can share with you another time, but it was all through that season of the Black Lives Matter, that whole season of lots of voices being in different spaces. And I realized that I wanted to put my voice in the rooms that I was in, but I needed to be clear about what my intention was. What was the purpose of putting my voice in those spaces? And through having conversations with women from that time and very recently, I've realized that you actually don't need confidence to get your voice, to show up, but you need intention. And intention is something that we all have. So where that conversation is shut down in relation to the confidence bit, because you don't have it, you have intention. We all have intention. And so if we stepped on that little podium, my intention podium, then do you know what happens, Eleanor? The confidence shows up. It shows up because you put yourself out there with that little bit of intention. And that stage just grows bigger and bigger and bigger, because once your voice is out there, then you realize that actually I'm doing all right. And it's because you've started from a place of your own intention. It's about starting with what you have in your hands. And that's been game changing.
Oh, I like that. It feels more achievable as well. It's like Helen's sharing here, you know, start small and be safe. It's almost, because confidence feels like such a big, scary thing that only some people have. And if you don't think you have it, I mean, confidence, we could probably talk a whole new rethink on confidence, because confidence isn't, it's not this big thing that, you know, you kind of come out on stage and you're the biggest and the loudest, and it's not that either. So that the way you described it about just making it your space of intention, like, okay, how do I want to do this in my way? Suddenly gives it a different dynamic.
Sure. Yeah. It suddenly feels really empowering and liberating, because then you don't have to show up as confident. And that's what stops so many people. And I do love what Helen said about starting small and practicing in a place that feels safe. And that's why I kicked off a membership this year. It's a group of women where we're coming together and we are playing with our voices, and we're giving ourselves permission to get it wrong and to make mistakes. And, to, you know, it's almost like a playground where you can come, but it's a safe place. And honestly, the shifts that I'm seeing in that group since we started a month ago, I've been humbled. I've been like, wow. People choosing to show up differently because they're starting from the place of their own intention. And that confidence beast, you know, can be pushed to one side because you realize that that's actually not necessarily what I need just to show up, to begin the conversation.
Yeah. That sort of led me to think about purpose then, and why, you know, so thinking about the, you know, people in your membership, they kind of feel like they want to speak up, they got something to say, or even that they just would like more, you know, again, it doesn't have to be that you're on a mission and you have to get your message out everywhere. It's just feeling a bit better about contributing or being part of something, isn't it? But I'm thinking about, people in the group, what's their driver? What's the kind of purpose of it? You know, what insights have you got there for people?
I mean, we are just kicking off, but a golden thread has definitely been just that courage. There's something about courage to step out of the shadows, and there's so much hiding. There is so much hiding, obviously, in a virtual space, the online world. It's so noisy. Does my voice matter? Who cares what I'm thinking? But my story's so insignificant. Who cares? And just that realization that actually, even if only one person cares, then your work, your story, your voice is worthy of being out there, because there's always going to be somebody who cares. And as you said, it's just this thing of not necessarily wanting to jump on a stage and have this huge message, but often I say, whether it's even just the courage to be able to have those conversations one-to-one, to ask for what you want, right? That takes courage, and that takes intention. To ask for, whether it's a pay rise, to ask to speak at an event, to ask to be promoted, to ask to be part of a conversation. So those one-to-one conversations, you need to show up for them, whether it's one to few in a room with other people. You don't want to be the one, disappearing into the wallpaper whenever an opportunity arises, putting your voice in the room. So whether it's one-to-one, one to few, or one to many, indeed, on a bigger stage, courage to just get started has been a golden thread that I've seen for so many of the women in the group.
Oh gosh, I love that. Courage. And you know what, you're so right. In the work environment, let's go there. And even when you start off on your own, how many times do we kind of sit back and want something, and we kind of like, but it's easier to slip into that, well, that's not fair. Well, why do they get all of that? Why do they? And it's like, but what did you do? Challenge to yourself. Nobody needs to put that pressure on you, but you can ask you, but what did you do? Did you even try? Like what you just said, did you say, I'd really like that? Tell me how I can get that. Please talk to me. It sounds so obvious, but it's just not easy, is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't. But then when you do it and you get the yay, how incredible is that? But even if you don't get the yes, right? Even if it's a no, you know that you have grown through this. And that's one of the conversations I had with one of the ladies that really has, this whole speaking with intention thing, because what she said to me after I organized an event during the Black Lives Matter thing, it was called Finding Your Voice in the Midst of the Mayhem. And she came back to me and she said for her biggest takeaway was that when she chooses to speak out, even if nothing changes, because it's just us, right? It's one person trying to change just stories and history and all of that. She said, even if in her small sphere nothing changes, she is confident that she herself would have changed and she would have grown by putting her voice out there, by showing up. And for her, that's enough. And that's the truth. So just permission to ask, permission to seek out. Whether or not we get what it is that we are seeking, we can be rest assured in the fact that we've grown as a result of putting ourselves out there. And again, how empowering is that?
Yeah, that's amazing. Again, I'm thinking as you're speaking, I'm just thinking as we're going along, I'm just speaking up, but who knows what's coming out, really. Could be nothing, but it is the topic, so I'm allowed thinking out loud. As you were speaking, I was thinking the other thing as well, that if you work on that, like what you just described, you can actually help others, because there's probably lots of people in the virtual room or the real room have things to say in meetings or in events, and if you're a quiet person, if you're like nervous or whatever, it doesn't matter what the thing is. If you just feel like you've got a space to talk, golden things could be missed. So if you start helping yourself, you can have the confidence to shut up as well. Because I actually think the power of speaking up is also knowing when, also bringing other people in, helping them. And I mean, I say I'm rambling here because it's thoughts based on what you just said.
But it's true. It's so true. And I did actually have a conversation along similar lines this week, and we were talking about how when we show up, right? When we give ourselves the permission that we think we need to put our voices out there, just by doing that, we give permission to other people. And so many people need to have those role models, need to see, often people who look like them as well, using their voices in an authentic and yet powerful way. And so the more that we do it, the more we are literally changing, whether it's one person, person by person, we are creating shifts. I tell you, these women who are showing up differently, already I'm seeing the impact that it's going to go on to have in the spaces that they're in.
Yeah.
So it does go on to have a huge impact just by us choosing to get started. And as I said at the onset, that's the hardest part, because it's here. It's what happens here. And so it's really about, challenging our mindsets and, shifting our minds into just doing it, just putting ourselves out there, just doing it. In the membership, I have something that we call Happy Monday. And so every Monday, one person in the group shares a message with the group, just a short message. And the lady who was chosen to speak last week, she had come to me saying she's really petrified about public speaking. And her message was just do it. Just do it. And that's given others in the group permission to just do it. It's increased my desire to keep doing it, to keep just giving. It is that thing about the power of permission. And there's a whole story and a whole thing around that. But it's really just, it opens up so many doors. It really does.
And you're sort of breaking down this, maybe what we perceive as like a raving crazy ego, that, if you speak up, am I just this person that my ego's ruling it? It's all about me. It's all about my fabulous me and my message. And that's again, I think how some people feel about that. So even when they come to someone like you to come and do some work on, I quite like to do public speaking, but am I being a bit big-headed? Do I need to get over myself and keep small? And there's all of this conversation going on inside, isn't there? Because some of us aren't in that space of feeling like we want to put ourselves up, but and the ego kind of regulates that a little bit.
Yeah.
What would you say to kind of that? People are like, but it's all just about, big headline. I'm just not interested. And yet they've got such rich stuff to share.
Oh boy, I think if we can only that's right. We'll have to keep coming back to do these things, right? But honestly, I'm learning, and this, that's it happens to me. I hear those thoughts, I have those voices in my head saying, Ronke, is it all about you? And I have to keep reminding myself that it really isn't all about me, that if I could just focus on the people who I am trying to reach, trying to champion, trying to encourage, then there's room for me to step out of the way. And so, as part of the work that I do, I really work on the mental fitness of the women who I'm working with. And that's really helping you to identify the different ways that you self-sabotage. So we have all your saboteurs, all of them, whether it's the judge saying very much what you said, and who do you think you are, and what difference are you going to make? And, there's all these different saboteurs messing about with you. And it's learning how to silence those voices and really connect with what we call, in the mental fitness world, positive intelligence, what we call your sage. And it's all about the different sides of your brain and knowing how to connect with different sides of your brain, so that when those voices show up, as they will, knowing how to silence them and remembering that, honestly, as I mentioned before, if it's just one person who will benefit from what you have to share, then surely it's worth getting it out there.
I'm just thinking as well, and maybe it's okay if that one person is you. Maybe that's all right.
Yes,
I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. Just
Just
coming out of my head. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's true. It's very true. Even if that one person is you, it could very well be you. And it's that shift that I talked about, that you would have grown by putting your voice out there. If you were the only one who needed that, and you see yourself really grow and develop through that, then go for it.
Yeah.
And we all have that. Again, it's that intention. If that's the only intention that you have, let that be enough. Let that be enough to get you started.
Oh, it's sort of, you reminded me of like it's like school playground, isn't it? Like, who does she think she is? She thinks she's it. And that thing's, I hope they don't say that anymore, because they're all on TikTok now. So maybe being it is actually a good thing. I don't know. I have no idea.
Oh, gosh. Whole different story. TikTok.
Yeah, a whole different world there. But I mean, it does stick in your head, that kind of thing, doesn't it? Like, they think they're it, and then you think, yep. But I quite like the ones that turned around and went, yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I would never that. But no one would ever say she thinks she's it, because she would be like, that's a bit of a disaster. But I quite like I remember the girls that would turn around and be like, well, yeah, probably, yeah, kind of am, really.
Because where do you go from there?
Like, okay. Yeah, need to find more put downs.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's such a good topic. I think one of the things that you kind of went down there with this sabotage thing and this chatter going on in the background, it doesn't go away though, does it? It's not like we're trying to eliminate the chatter. It's going to be there, so it's kind of handling it, I guess.
Yeah. It's using it as fuel is what I find. Just, using it to really propel you. So you see it, right? And I call them the little miss characters. So there's the little miss hyperachiever who wants to show up in a certain way, little miss avoider, or little miss victim, or little miss
big one.
All out them, little miss hypervigilant, oh gosh, the whole world's going to judge me. We all have them. And I suppose it's knowing how to use them as a tool to propel you forward. Because as you say, they're always going to be there. So it's silencing them long enough to get you to do and to say and to be what you need to be. But knowing that, they're there. They're there to keep you safe. It's the way that we've, the whole playground thing you were talking about, it's there to protect you from all of the fear and the shame and the worry. But then it's being able to say, okay, thanks very much, little Miss Pleaser. I don't need you here now. You can sit down.
Oh, I like that.
You can sit down and I can show up as me. I'll be all right. Thanks very much. And just being able to have those sorts of conversations all in here. And then you show up.
Yeah.
You show up.
Oh, love that. I have all these little people. Oh God, they drive you mad though, don't you?
Yes, indeed. But yeah.
It's true. And some of them are very loud at points where you really don't need them to be loud. And that's such a good kind of, if you're having those moments where, like what we described at work or pitching something, or having feeling, to bring that audience in and go, right, who's being loud here?
Yes.
Okay. Just be quiet and see what happens. I mean, you might be kind of crazy if you start describing that to people. I'm just talking to my invisible audience.
No,
it's so powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful, because then also what you do is you're able to shift all of that that's going on in here and just connect with your body and just take, all of that madness, silencing it, just it's what I said. It's knowing who needs to come to the fore. So little Miss Pleaser, little Miss Stickler, I really don't need you to show up now. Connecting with your body and then showing up as little Miss Sage, little Miss Powerful, little Miss Authentic. That's who I need to be leading the conversation when I show up. So thank you very much. Let's see who needs to stand up and lead on this. It's powerful.
Oh, I love that. Do you know what as well? that moment when you're doing that, you know, quietening it down, the thought of, what if I don't do this? Like, what if I, like what we talked about, what if I don't ask for the promotion? What if I don't speak up now?
Right.
How does that feel? And it surprises me that we don't challenge ourselves enough in that space, that actually, what's the consequence of not just speaking? It could be worse. Like, how awful to feel. There's a new book, isn't there? Regrets, Daniel. I've forgotten his name. It's called The Power of Regret.
Wow.
And it's kind of about that, you know, that moment of taking opportunity, I guess, flipping. But it's true, isn't it? That moment of you've quietened them all down and just gone, but
that's right.
what if I don't take this step now? Will I regret it forever?
Yeah. There's a quote, isn't there, that the fear of, is it something around the fear of change needing to be stronger, or the fear of regrets needing to be stronger than the fear of change? And what you said is so true. So true. I'm doing some research with women around this speaking up thing. And a lady who I spoke to, I think it was last week, I said, so what is it that helps you? What helps you to just do it, right? To just get your voice out there? And she said, it's the fear of not speaking up. She said, when I actually, it's what you just said. It's the fear that actually, if I don't speak up in this room, then what? What feelings would I be left with? And what consequence, really, especially for those women who are in male-dominated spaces and who know that their voices need to, you know, they need to bring a different angle, perhaps, to the conversation. So the fear of being quiet and letting it run off like that without changing the course of the conversation. My goodness. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's God, that's quite just powerful in itself. Like, what if you didn't say that thing in the meeting and it was the one thing that quite needed to be heard?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Someone to Brené Brown's quote this week: discomfort over resentment.
Oh yes. And it's true. It's uncomfortable. It's sitting in that messy discomfort, but choosing to still do it. It's choosing to be uncomfortable and to live with that, rather than that yucky feeling of, if only, I wish I had, I'm so gutted I didn't. Go with the discomfort. I'm so with Brené Brown on that one.
Yeah. Oh God, that's another important point. You're not working with people to get them to be comfortable to speak up. I mean, they might get to that space, but actually it's being comfortable with the discomfort, maybe, of speaking up.
Yes. Yeah. I often say to my people, actually, I say, if I'm making you feel uncomfortable, then I'm doing my work well. So it's okay. The goal is to step out of your comfort zone, right? That's where the magic happens. So let's get you away from that comfortable place. And I say it to myself too. So it's not like, wow, finished product, doing it. I have these conversations with myself.
So next time we're having that moment of like, I really got to say something here. It's building up, but I probably need to just feel better about it. No, just start talking.
That's right. Start talking. It's what you said, just circling back to something you said at the beginning. It could be a question. So yes, it's taking off that pressure of, I've got to find and craft the most beautiful, the most transformative, the most incredible. It could just be a question to clarify a point. It could just be a question to ask if, a point could be considered differently. It could be a question to challenge what evidence the other person has, perhaps, of what they're bringing to the table. And that's the beginning of your voice being in that space. That's enough.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Do you know what? When you say that to people as well, if it's questions, just feel so much easier, don't they? You're not putting a statement on it to be judged. It's just a question. It's like, fine to ask. There's no stupid questions. Is that the thing? Some stupid questions, but yeah, why not say them? Yeah. Powerful.
It is.
Oh, such good stuff. Oh God, I've gone over again. Like, I really try. All these, I'm like, no, it's got to be 30 minutes. And then I just go over, and I could just keep going and going and going. But there's so much good stuff in there. The key things for me are, yes, it's not about finding working on yourself until you're so comfortable, confident, all these things that we think. It's not that. What else would you say to someone who really feels like they want to work on showing up? For whatever reason, they might be wanting to get a new job, or like what we said, in work and wanting that promotion or that project, or just wanting to be heard. Where can people just start?
What comes to mind immediately for me is love yourself enough. Be willing to take enough of a chance on yourself, because if you're not willing to, then it would be really tricky for others to. So it's just that place of really valuing who you are. There's nobody else like you in the world. It's like what we were saying about the guitar in the background, isn't it? The different sounds that we bring into wherever we are, knowing that that's enough. I don't need to be the piano in your background. I don't need to be the saxophone or the violin. Loving the sound that I bring, valuing myself enough to be willing to be uncomfortable and to take a chance on myself, because I'm valuable, and we all are. We all are.
Oh, that's just the perfect ending. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to talk more. So do you think you might come up and we could go for a walk or something and just chat more in the lakes?
I would love that. Lake District, here I come.
Ellen, come and join us. She's over the other side in York, but I'm sure she could pop over. But so good. I love talking to you. I might join your membership. I'm gonna look it up when I come back. Are you still, how can people work with you?
Yes, so reach out to me on LinkedIn, please. My email address is ronke@iverbalize.co.uk. Reach out about the membership. The membership is We Verbalize. We are a movement. We are a movement of women who are shifting the way that we're showing up in the world, using the power of our spoken words. And so there's group coaching programs that I offer as well, really digging deep into the mental fitness and the speaking with intention piece. Or I'd love to come and speak at an event that you're running, or at an organizational thing. I would love to share this message far and wide, that it doesn't matter whether the confidence isn't there to get started. Start with intention, and I promise you the confidence will show up.
Oh, love that. Absolutely love it. And very important point, you will have fun doing it. This is not going to be a stress thing with Ronke.
That's right. Oh, yes. Yes, fun is a huge part of my life. Has to be done. We've got to have fun. That's why I like you, Edna. You're full of fun.
Full of stupidness. I mean, yeah, exactly. Just talk and I don't know what's going to... Yeah.
We call it fun. Bit of crazy, bit of fun. Yes, definitely. Yes.
Thank you so much. Take care. And keep doing what you're doing, because we need you.
Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, Elna. Rethinking. I'm loving the whole idea of just rethinking and challenging our thoughts around how we do things. So thank you for the opportunity to speak about rethinking how we speak up. Keep doing your fabulous work, and I will see you soon, I hope. Yes. Take care.
I hope so too. Take care.
Okay. Bye.